Okay, ni hao bonjour to the online world. So perhaps there is a tug of war in terms of the business empires of different companies rotating in different parts of the world. And one such is the fizzy drinks in India. And particularly, I'm going to touch base and walk you through the data sets because there is a very miniature understanding of intellectual property rights in terms of consumer rights. And the best thing is because the law is so open ended in terms of the Ware Acts and stuff, a lot can be just manipulated. So there's a lot of manipulation of data which is happening right now. And given the data set that India is not a country of one or two dialects, it's like it's a mini country in itself, having so many, um, tribes. There are so many cultures which are being celebrated at any given point of time. So I'll just put myself on mute, talk about the brand which I wish to talk because it's one of the most known brands, perhaps, and still, what are we competing for? So that's the question we are trying to answer. So I'll put myself on mute and we'll start in a while. So if you have any questions, you can just write it in the chat box. Okay, perhaps I'll definitely add this in the article which is supposed to be submitted for the input data set. So we are going to talk about Thumbs Up. This is one of the drinks which is Indian origin but acquired by the big brands like Pepsi and all. And this is going to impact in terms of whatever tariffs anybody can put onto India. But at the same point of time, um, under the laws of the country itself, India can definitely give a good pushback to these brands in terms of the understanding. So let's deal with this first of all. This is supposed to be Thumbs Up. Okay, so the story is this data set I have not reviewed in terms of whether it's fake or misinformation. Please don't take it as a data set where perhaps because the cognizance of the matter is not what the brand is all about. The cognizance of the matter is the codes which have been utilized here. Now, according to the contest which is being run right now, and from the longest time in India, the contests are being run, uh, prizes are not be given, and it's just that when you go to the court of law and then you spend your time, energy, and whatnot to get things done. So Either India should respect, or the enterprises which are running these contests should respect uh, the contest rules and regulations, or either they should just this particular whatever the game they are trying to play in terms of this particular game, which is thumbs up and associated branding, which they are trying to do. They are creating some kind of a blockchain code with this. So particularly what happened is I got a crate of this thumbs up the other day, and the misinformation is you have to drink the bottle to see the code. Now when you see this particular code, it takes you when you scan this QR code. So QR is supposed to be a quick response code, and quick response code is nothing but the latitude and longitude of the handheld device which is being used by the candidate. So we are utilizing the term candidate in terms of whosoever is having this particular perhaps device in their hand. That is a handheld device, which I'm talking in terms of the patenting language. Now, this particular case or the other cases, what they are doing is this is Thumbs Up, which was the birth of Thumbs Up is in 1977. So Coca-Cola exists in India under FERA rules. Parlay's Ramesh Chauhan launched an Indian cola to plug in the gap. Obviously, the taste of this particular stuff is totally different than the other drinks, and it's quite, at least to my palate, I really like the consumption of Thumbs Up is definitely a part of my, it's stored in the refrigerators even when I'm coding and all. It contains caffeine and it works for me. Anyhow, so particularly name shortened from thumbs, it was Thumbs Up. So if you see the logo per se, you will, oh, okay, here you can see the logo here. So it's basically a thumbs up, right? So from thumbs up it became thumbs up for, then of course the gestures and the logo signals we know about the trademarking. I'm not getting into what the trademark number is all about because that doesn't hold any value right now, given the fact they are using the data set, and this is misinformation. The first and the foremost thing the Indian authorities need to do is to, wherever these scanners are there, they need to take the bottles back from the market shelf. That's the first thing. And whatever data set has been created, they should be questioned how this data which has been created is being utilized, because according to the contest rule, you have to put in the data set which is with associated with the candidate's sim card number. So perhaps since these numbers are already utilized, it is very clear that they have created a data set, and which again, it's a wrong input data, because I purchase this stuff, and not everybody is, intellectual enough to understand what is happening in the world in terms of intellectual property rights. um, Now again, in this particular case, we'll talk about the early positioning. In the 1978 and the 1980s, there was a competition with Coca-Cola, and again, that is coming back into the market. I remember in the 80s, I used to drink Coca-Cola, so it was a different miniature bottle, and the bottling was done. And then in 1986, the big rebranding happened, and the market was crowded with the Pepsi's 1988 entry. So taste the thunder. These are the taglines in terms of the intellectual property rights when you're talking about trademarks. That is taste the thunder, and there's something called as Tufani Thanda. So Tufani Thanda. If I have to just convert, my Hindi is not that good. So Tufani Thanda is Thanda means cold. Tufani means something to do with wind. So the wind is cold. If in very simple terms. Um, then there was some adventures, and all these advertisements were built around it, where there were bike stunts, cricket, bungee jumping, and whatnot. Now, what happened was the acquisition happened when India opened up to the FDI. So it was acquired by Coca-Cola, and Coke bought Parley's soft drink portfolio. So there's a portfolio. It has Thumbs Up, Limca, Gold Spot, and Citra. For this is reported to be 60 mil USD or USDT perhaps in those days. Um, and then Coke stopped advertising Thumbs Up, cut supply to push flagship Coke. So it was a marketing gimmick or a marketing strategy whereby it was very clear at that point of time, to push their own product, they have to pull the product back. So it's obviously, it's like, the stories between the shark and the fishes. The fishes are always bought by the sharks, because that is how the capitalistic way of the working is, and that is something which will always remain constant, because something has to be constant. That's the capitalistic way, because how the capital would be delivered. um, that being said, then in 1995, 97, loyal customers and trade pushback, and Pepsi gained the share, whereby Thumbs Up grew stronger, bigger, and obviously, I would also, I'm a loyal customer to the brand Thumbs Up. Now, then, perhaps in 2002, 2003, they wanted to widen the base beyond. So, when generally what happens is when you're doing business, particularly in the online world or in the offline world or in the mixture of everything and anything, generally has said, who or what is the age which you are targeting. I earlier used to think something else because my vision and horizon was too huge for. I was always global in nature, but it was so huge that now I understand why it was that necessary. But in this particular case, they wanted to go beyond the male category of from 25 biological age to 35. And then there were challenges and whatnot. And I remember, particularly in the late 80s and early 90s, because of this FDI and everything, a lot of industrial designs were, I would say, we were the consumers. I mean, we were growing up in terms of the age bracket which these companies were targeting were the kids. I mean, kids are the easy prey. I would rather say they are prey, because prey is not PRAY, prey is PREY. So kids are easy prey to the acquisition, from the acquisition point of view, because if a kid needs anything, they'll start shouting in front of the parents, and the parents are like, at one point of time they're fed up and they just give it, so that the the melodrama comes down. So perhaps, so that happened in 2010. I'm again coming back to the timeline of 2010 here, which was global Coke acceptance. So Thumbs Up became a $1 billion brand inside Coca-Cola system, and international stunts, blah blah blah. Taste of Thunder, till date, it remains India's longest running national tagline. Perhaps that is one reason, as a loyal customer, I am very angry with the fact that this data set is being misutilized. And perhaps because people have no cognizance of what blockchain is all about, they have used these codes to code something. And perhaps because I'm also a blockchain creator, I'm going to decode into the smart contract and nullify anything and everything associated with this brand Thumbs Up, and I'll take it to the negative impact of carbon negative. So the ideation stage of the coding for the smart contracts is take it carbon negative. So to take it carbon negative, first of all, we just need to get this out of the system. In terms of wherever it's there on the market shelf, either they have to give an apology in the newspaper stating that it was our fault, and perhaps the authorities need to ask them the question, what are they doing with the codes? Because now we are living in a world where a lot can be done with the coding, and the wrong coding can cause a lot of wrong coding can cause a lot of chaos, and that chaos has to be managed right now. So, if I have to just talk about the branding lessons from this particular brand, it would be the local taste first. It has it is extra strong in terms of the taste, even limca per se. Perhaps if any candidate is going through, bowel motion and all that, limca is suggested because it has salts, it has other, I would say, the nutrients, but it's just the way the composition is, it's good enough to take care of the bowel movement. Then, although it says masculine and adventurous positioning, I would rather say, for me, the persona of Thumbs Up is, it works for me like a Red Bull. So that's what Thumbs Up is for me. Um, Consumer polls saved the brand when Coca-Cola tried to starve it of media and distribution. So obviously, when as a consumer, I ask for Thumbs Up. If I go somewhere at the marketplace, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing the push of Coke. Then that's a problem statement. Um, Tagline. I mean, Taste the Thunder. Maybe the tagline is being associated, but as a loyal customer, it's nothing to do with the tagline. It's just the appetite which I have built over the years for the consumption of Thumbs Up, and that is one reason you would be seeing a lot of people when they travel. They take domestic things with them. Say, for example, all these vegetarian people, they take all these, ready to eat stuff, and they don't spend money in the other country where the tourism is involved. So, in one way, it is definitely uh, helping the domestic market to grow. But on the other side, or on the other side of the discussion, the tourism in that country is not growing because people are not consuming the food. When you travel, you have to, have the appetite. Even if you're vegetarian, you should be traveling to places where it's a vegetarian place. Obviously, the world is not a vegetarian country, or the global thing is never vegetarian. It's just that there's a food chain. People became vegetarian or are vegetarian because of the choices. It's not that being vegetarian gains, and it's already being published in the PubMeds and all that. It's just an agenda item where anybody, or perhaps under the aegis of anything and everything, people still feel that, it's a propaganda. Everything is a propaganda. And particularly, let me tell you, there was a reason why I didn't go for LLM or PhD, whether in intellectual property rights, whether in food tech, whether in biotech, because everything is based on hypothesis. Wet lab itself is very costly affair, so that was never an option for me. However, in the dry lab also, because I worked in so many applications, the government of the technologies has been anything to everything. And perhaps since I have that uh, openness to understand the technologies, I get a lot of insight just by seeing the stuff. And that is how I have enhanced my cognitive ability over the years. Now obviously it's not even like not even in real time. It is because of the algorithms I have developed. There's a lot which I can see just by deploying the algorithms at any given point of time. And that's the advantage of the beauty of understanding the protocols. And folks who really understand how internet came to India, perhaps particularly in the Delhi jurisdiction, they would be knowing my work over the years, and particularly when I drafted so many applications which have been utilized for different purposes. So it was very, very clear to me when I was selected for the mandate and the mission as a cert, which is cybersecurity protocols, which is deployed globally. You can just see the data and you can just analyze and talk about it and see what's wrong, where to question the person, where not to question, and how it has to work. So we are good with this. So we're done with thumbs up. Second thing I would like to discuss is perhaps, oh my god, thank god. Oh, it has, okay, it has something. So choose to reuse. I mean, uh, cheers to the Starbucks. Although Starbucks is being now replaced by a couple of companies based out in China, uh, the good thing about still the Starbucks has, these associations at so many places in terms in the world, perhaps in terms of um, giving real employment. What is important here is when you provide real employment to folks, um, that is what matters, and that too with the sensitization. Now what the Indian companies are doing, who claim that they have given employment to 25,000 people, 50,000 people, 1 lakh people, let me tell you, these people who are employed, they are coming with negative human capacity building. And without regular human capacity building, when the folks are not on the same page, they don't even understand the ethos of the company. They're just being deployed because they are stating we are giving, they're working in quantity but not in quality. The need of the hour is to work in quality, not in quantity, which is very, very important. To put the figurative stuff very clear, I'll just talk about this brand, Chroma. You go to any of these Chromas, you will see 100 people standing on, different I won't say it's a marketplace, but it's kind of a fish market. So Chroma is equal to fish market. I mean, they have no clue about what tech is about. There's just 150 people standing there. There are 10,000 lights which are on, and there's so much of chaos. So these brands need not, deploy just the people. They have to make the folks understand what they're selling, why they're selling, and they need to do the registration on the spot. They are clueless, they are just there to sell stuff. If companies like Chroma and the others don't understand technology, we are in 2025, still they are behaving like 1995. So this disparity is not going to take the country forward in terms of the tech enablement. But at the same point of time, this country, let me tell you, at any given point of time, this country is the biggest source of data in terms of a lot of data. Now the question is what data you want to provide, because till now, if you go to the best of the colleges, so-called best of the colleges in the country, you won't see the equipments. If you see the equipments, you won't see the reagents, because in the wet lab the reagents are really expensive, and that is where this country lacks in terms of the reagents and all. And that is why, all the talent, so-called talent, in the name of talent, they just leave the country and they're working in other countries in terms of procuring and living a good standard of living. So let's see what happens now. But this is the data set I wanted to discuss. And Thumbs Up and all, they need to do something in terms of whatever code they have done. They need to answer the authority why these codes are, where are these codes being utilized? That's the question number one.